Dude, we aren't even talking.
All right, we are live, and so are Shane's kids, although now they're on mute. How's it going, everyone? It's good to see you. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. I was creating this awful overlay, but it'll do the trick. Very exciting news. This coming Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, we are doing a 2023 live mock draft with none other than Ray G from Destination Debbie. So can't think of a better person to have on talk about the 2023 class. We've mentioned those first round picks quite a bit for the last year. So we're going to have him on. It's going to be a kick-ass time. And the reason I'm covering Shane's face, oh, you can barely see him there. I'm covering Shane's face and keeping Scott's face up is because congrats to Scott for just landing a new podcast with Ray on Destination Debbie platform. Scott, you want to give a quick shout out doing a Dynasty show for them?
Yeah, so Destination Dynasty will debut on October 3rd. It may or may not be on YouTube. Probably the first episode will just be a podcast, and then we'll do some other YouTube stuff going forward. But I think it's going to be a chance for me to kind of. It's not going to be Dynasty and Chill, and I'll talk about that a little bit on the first episode. So I did stop Dynasty and Chill or put it on hiatus. It's going to be a little bit different, shorter, but it's just going to be my chance to kind of help the brand grow in the Dynasty space and
Awesome.
kind of started their Dynasty content. They already have a lot of content creators that are talking about Dynasty, but it's going to be a little more streamlined and hopefully some collaborations and stuff going forward. So yeah, excited. October 3rd will be the first episode.
Good stuff. Congrats again. All right, Scott, throw up that comment that we got. This segues in well to this one. So from Braden, will y'all please talk about some 2023 rookie draft picks, specifically late first round and mid second round guys? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean we'll definitely cover this on the stream with Ray because we'll do a mock draft. We'll talk about the prospects. We'll talk about kind of where things stand now compared to maybe where we thought it stood in the summer, because we do have college football that's happening, injuries happening, but obviously it's still early. But I do think you're going to end up with ultimately, and I'm sure we'll touch on this more on the stream, but you're going to end up with a class that, well, I always say that classes are judged by their running backs and their quarterbacks. But I wonder if just with the current shift of Dynasty, how valuable the receivers are in the current Dynasty space. If this receiver class, which admittedly, and Ray will definitely back this when he comes on, that this is not going to be a good receiver class, but it's also coming at the perfect time for the NFL because of how valuable they think the receivers are and how they're paying the receivers and how every team is wanting to have 2, 3, 4 good receivers. It's going to be interesting because you're going to probably have multiple receiver profiles that are going to fit the draft capital that go right into this range, what Braden is talking about, right? Late first to mid second is probably going to be multiple receivers that are getting top 50 draft capital. But then it's going to come down to, are they good? You know, do we have a bunch of receivers in this range that are Laviska Shenaults or Terrace Marshalls where you're like, they got the draft capital, but they're not any good. And they're especially not good relative to even the George Pickens and of the world that we had this year. So I think that's where it's going to come down to. This class is going to be an interesting debate, but you're going to have, I think, the NFL, and I think you guys probably agree, the NFL is going to draft receivers. Every year there's going to be receivers.
Always.
I mean, I've been saying that for years, but they're going to keep doing it. That's the positional value. What you have to pay to keep your own wide receiver 2s and 3s now is so much money that if you can replace them with second round picks, teams are going to do that more frequently, which means every year in the draft, we're going to get 7, 8, 9, 10 receivers that go in the top 50, 60 picks, which means for Dynasty, we're going to get a bunch of Jahan Dotsons and Sky Moores and George Pickens. And now it's just going to be, well, they got the draft capital. Do they have the profile to warrant the first 15 or so rookie picks? So that's what we'll talk about more. But I think that's where this range is going to be. Everyone's going to chase the running backs and the quarterbacks early again, and then it's going to be a lot of receivers that with iffy profiles.
Shane, any comments there? Do you know what we're talking about?
I'm on mute. Oh, God damn it. You know, it's we had a lot of wide receivers in this class with iffy draft profiles, which is why everyone hated, well, part of why everyone hated the class stat. And there were 2 running backs worth drafting, we thought. Next year, we should have at least 2 quarterbacks. we're going to have, I don't know, off the top of my head, 6 or 7 running backs that we really like. And then the wide receivers, once they have first round and second round draft capital, their profiles are going to look a lot better regardless of what they did this year. Like Jackson Smith and Jigba is a guy who is he didn't play again today because of his hamstring, and really it hasn't done much anything. Quentin Johnston, if these guys end up getting first, second round draft capital, we're going to overlook their relatively weak last final years in college.
Yeah, I wanted to add that Quentin Johnston is one of the most fascinating, because his team is passing the ball a ton. He's terrible.
Yeah.
He's awful. I mean, he has like 5 catches on the whole season. I'm like, you're going to look at his junior year production, and you're going to say, this guy really is going to warrant top 50 draft capital. And he's like the 4th best receiver on his own team right now. And it's going to be, and it's not just him. There's other guys like Jermaine Burton. People have hyped him up as being a top 50 pick. He might not even be the best receiver on his own team. Might not even be one of the top 2. So, but it's going to be interesting because the league is going to value these guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, are we going to look at them compared to even a guy like Elijah Moore and be like, would I really prefer Jermaine Burton over Elijah Moore? You know, and it's just going to be tricky because receivers are going to be what everybody's chasing. But I will say this, and we'll save this for the stream on Wednesday. This running back class next year, not just the top guys, you are going to have layers upon layers of running backs that go in round 3, round 4. If you like guys like Dameon Pierce and Brian Robinson, you're going to get a league flush full of those types again.
Dude, look at
Mayan Williams on Ohio State come out of nowhere, and that's a guy who could go in the 3rd round, and you're like, okay, that's a guy that could start games on an NFL team next year, and he's going to be the running back 10 of the class. It's like you're going to get, and the way the teams use these backfields now, like if you can get a Dameon Pierce, now you don't want to chase those guys necessarily, but they're going to organically happen in the 2nd round. And the way we talk about running backs, like that might be the cheapest way to get them instead of having to go trade a freight for, a quote unquote RB2 that's going to score the same number of points per game. So it should be fun. It should be fun to talk about it.
So if we have multiple 2023 firsts, should we be trying to trade 1 or 2 or what have you of them for wide receivers with the, ambiguous class next year? If we don't know about the wide receivers, should we try to buy them instead of draft them?
Look, it's always except
like Bateman. Let's talk Bateman for
I'm
example.
not getting that.
Would you give a late 23 first for him?
No.
Somebody at that level.
Scott can. No.
Scott.
He's replaceable.
I think, okay, so here's what I would say. Yes, if I'm going to plan to pick a receiver, and I think that's the fear. If you're going to get stuck in the late first next year, I think what you're going to see is either people reaching on running backs, because a lot of people are building teams kind of like we talk about where they have a shitload of receivers and they're like, man, I could use a Dameon Pierce. I could use a Rashad White. Like I'm going to take those guys because I know all it takes is the right coach to go, hey, I'm going to make this guy the starter. Like that's all it takes. But I also think that you're going to have teams that are just stuck in those pick ranges. How do you pass up a 1st round receiver, even if you don't love the profile, for a 3rd round running back? You know that's bad process, right? So you're going to be forced to make some late firsts, and you're going to have to take receivers that have iffy profiles, but they have the draft capital that says you almost have to take them. Think like a Brandon Ayuk or Kadarius Toney type profile. 2 years ago, those guys fell. Now with the wide receiver market, they are not going to fall. They are going to go in the 1st round, 112, 111, 110. But man, if you don't like Quentin Johnston, are you taking him in the late first over potentially like Rashad Bateman, where you could trade for Rashad Bateman right now? I don't think it's a bad strategy. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not taking Quentin Johnston over Rashad Bateman, but I'll take.
What if he goes in the 1st round to Green Bay?
No, because you know what? I think we do need to be a little more discerning with these wide receivers. Like draft capital isn't going to be the end all be all. Now we're starting to see that with Kadarius Toney, specifically Wan'Dale Robinson, right? These are guys that were pushed up that we didn't like them where they were going in rookie drafts, but we went, well, they're getting drafted in the 1st, 2nd round of the NFL draft. By law, I have to pick them. It's a fait accompli. I have to pick these guys. And you know what? I'm going to look at their college profiles and go, no, I don't, because they didn't break out. They didn't have a high dominator rating. They didn't do it at a Power 5 school. You know what I mean? I'm going to be a little more discerning, I think. I don't want to just I liked Quentin Johnston a lot, but he's not putting it together this year. Now, like I said earlier, if he does get picked in the first round, someone's obviously going to be like, well, he's a first round draft pick, so I need to take him. Someone like JSN. At least he broke out as a 12-year-old. You know what I mean? And smashed. So I can point to that and go, even if he had a bad, whatever season this is, what's your third year in college? I don't know. Junior? Yeah, you're junior. There you go. You know, even if he had a bad junior year, at least his first 2 years were good enough that I think that I can count on that. I planned on this 23 class for me was always going to be, I'm just drafting every running back.
Just going to smash running backs.
Yeah, because I mean, BPA is probably going to be the running back anyway. But I don't want... Look, part of any rookie class is part of what I want is the allure and the upside. And I don't want to say I've given up on Rashad Bateman's upside because that sounds absurd after a year and 3 games. But we see who the target monster on that team is, right? It's Mark Andrews. If Rashad Bateman doesn't break a 75-yard touchdown or a 50-yard touchdown, he is incredibly average. He's a wide receiver 4 at this point. And yes, touchdowns count, but I'm just saying that those big plays aren't something that you can particularly count on to score on.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll save more talk, obviously, for Wednesday. Mark your calendars. You're joining us Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern for a live mock. Let's shift to this question now. So, with the shift, pun intended, in scoring so heavily favoring wide receivers this year, should we be rethinking team structure, moving away from RB prioritization? Thoughts? We don't prioritize as it is.
This is weird. This is weird.
Why don't we?
So I thought about this today, right? When I was looking at trade offers, I wanted to make to people in leagues. And literally every time I went to send an offer for a running back, part of me died inside. Just a little part, because, you know, I don't have a lot left inside me, but a little bit died. I don't know that I might regret it, like trading for a bad wide receiver, but I've never regretted going, well, I traded for a wide receiver. Whereas every time I've ever traded for a running back, literally in the back of my mind, I've gone, I don't know if that was the right move because the injury, the short window. I'll draft them all, like we talk about this all the time, in rookie drafts and when they're old or when they're spot starters. That's why we have 3rd round picks. Yep. Khalil Herbert, love him. Great. Give me him. Ezekiel Elliott, guess what? I like him now because he's not very good and I can get him cheap. Or, you know, Bijan Robinson. Can you imagine paying what you'd have to pay on the open market for him as opposed to a rookie pick? Like, remember Saquon Barkley? People were drafting him at 110 in startups. Like, I'm not doing that. But in a rookie draft, if he's just one rookie pick, rookie pick, yeah, I'm doing it.
I'll just plug the first episode of Destination Dynasty is going to talk all about this, and it's exactly the question that he asked about team build, roster construction. We actually talked about this, Eric and I, on America's Game the other day, which was one of our other shows on the feed. But we talk about why it makes sense to build rosters away from running backs, and it's not just because the league is going away from running backs, and you're seeing more committees, and you're seeing, like, just as of week 3 or the end of week 3, you have between RB6 and RB23, you only have about a 4-point per game gap, and it's all within that like 12 to 16 point per game range, kind of the non-difference making range or the dead zone range. So, like, if you have RB6, you have to think in theory RB6 is worth a lot on the open market, but it's not necessarily producing difference making weeks for you. In fact, it's a lot closer to RB23 than probably wide receiver 6 and, you know, wide receiver 35, which is the span of how many receivers you have to start in running backs. It's about that same gap because you're usually starting 3 receivers and 2 running backs. So just if you can liquidate running backs and not hold the value, and especially if you have multiple running backs, you don't need 5 of them. You know, the most overrated thing, we talk about this on the roster reviews all the time, Shane. The most overrated thing is, hey, I need to upgrade my RB2 spot when Saquon Barkley's your RB1. Like, really, if Saquon Barkley's producing what you paid for him to produce, he's making up the gap between a weak RB2 and a moderate RB2 easily with just his points per game. That's why you're chasing like the high-end RB1. Then you just throw a guy in RB2. You're like, cool, I happen to have Alexander Madison tomorrow. Maybe he'll get 12 touches. Cool, he gets me 12 points. Your RB2 doesn't matter. So I think it's it's not just shifting away from running backs, but it's also weighing how do I roster construct the right way so that I have the chance to hit on some of these running backs that are outside of the top 24 or so. That's what I'll talk about on the show. And then the third thing is going to be, how do you treat them in rookie drafts now? Because you love to get a rookie running back on a rookie contract that you get for one single rookie pick, right? If you can get a starting running back at 106 in your draft, that's awesome. Is it awesome if you already have Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, and Travis Etienne? It used to be, man, I got all the running backs. I can go trade them for a Hall. Have you guys tried to trade running backs for a Hall on the open market recently?
Well,
Can you even get like Drake London for any running back other than Jonathan Taylor? Like, probably not.
But that's the thing, though. Part of it is that look at the running backs. The running back 2 by default going into the season, and no one liked it. We were all opposed to it. Even the people that ranked them as RB2 was Najee Harris, and no one felt comfortable with that. Everybody was like, "This is terrible." And I'm not saying that they're going to get back to the point where, in the olden days where Marshall Faulk was dropping 26 points a week and Priest Holmes out there dropping 25 points a week. But I think with this class coming, we're going to see a little more value placed on them when Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs and Sean Tucker are out there just blowing up every week. And if they're putting up 20 points a week, then guess what? People are going to go, yeah, I do want to trade for that running back. Now you're taking a leap of faith that they're going to do that, because there is the chance that they again fall into a situation that won't allow that. Like Scott says, if they land in with the Eagles and they're splitting red zone carries at a 70-30 split on the wrong side of that to Jalen Hurts, it's going to be hard to put up those numbers.
I'll talk about it more, but I think you're right, Shane. The problem is it's not a great bet to bet on a running back, even if they get first round draft capital, to go from 15 points a game to 20. That's very hard to do. In fact, there's probably half the coaches in the league that just go, I don't care who my running back is. I'm going to have another guy to keep that guy fresh. So like they're just never going to plan on giving a guy, Joe Mixon or Ezekiel Elliott type workloads over their career. They're just never going to get it, even if it's Bijan Robinson. So it's like if a guy like Bijan, who is a potential generational talent, can be limited by the fact that, he landed in Denver or Philly. That's all it takes. He can be the greatest, most efficient running back, but if they're saying he's only going to get 275 touches max, what's he going to need? He's going to need 75 catches to be an RB1. It's just a hard bet to make.
Right.
But if you hit on it, don't get me wrong. If you hit on Bijan Robinson and he scores 23 points a game in his career for the first 2 or 3 years, you have such an advantage over the league. I just don't want to necessarily bet on that if I can extract value elsewhere and kind of play the back end running back game. So I'll talk about it more on the next pod, but it's a fascinating topic. It really is.
For sure. Mr. Wonderful, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate it, man. 12 team, Superflex, PPR, start 10. Give Jerry Jeudy a mid 23 first and a 24 first. Get Deshaun Watson. Trying to do a semi rebuild. Have Dak, Mac Jones, and Baker Mayfield. What do you think?
I'm going to say I like this because, you go from Mac Jones as your quarterback 2 to Dak Prescott, and Deshaun Watson's now your quarterback 1. Dude, that's a smash. I'd be ecstatic with that deal if I could get it.
Yeah, I think you're probably giving around 2.25, 2.5 first year total. I think Jeudy and a 24 first are kind of even, and then you add a mid 23. Yeah, I like it. You're going to feel better about having that second quarterback in Watson and moving Mac and Mayfield to your QB3 and QB4. You can worry about filling receivers easily later on. So good trade, Mr. Wonderful. Nicely done. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you very much. And he also put up here, P.S. I accepted the chase for Garrett Wilson Burks 222 seconds trade from last week. So this was from your roster review, I take it. So
no issue with
that. Wonderful.
That's you sold high on Garrett Wilson, who's being valued as like a top 15 receiver now, and threw in a couple not riffraff pieces, but you got the hammer, like Shane says.
Exactly. So we got a couple inbox offers in here. If you have an inbox offer, go ahead and have it in big all caps like Brett did here. But have it be this is honor code. Have it actually be an inbox offer, right?
Also, if you really, really want to get onto the show, send me an offer while you're watching, and I'd love to put that up.
Very true. Very true. That's a good idea. Okay. 12 team super flex PPR start 10, give 3 23 firsts. One is going to be top 3, one mid to late, and one late. Get Justin Jefferson. Oh, that's it. Get Justin Jefferson. Already have Chase, AJ Brown, Drake London, Godwin, Terry McLaurin, Marquise, and Juju. Are you giving 3 23 firsts for Jefferson?
I mean, what? Yeah. But I mean, without any more context to it, I'd much rather spend that at the quarterback position. But if he's got Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, you know what I mean? Then I'm like, all right, well, I might as well just kill everyone with this wide receiver too. It's not like you didn't already have a monster room with Chase, AJ Brown, and London anyway, and Godwin is your wide receiver 4. I probably would have seen if I could have slipped in McLaurin instead of one of those first. Brown and Juju, probably not Juju. I don't get it, but Brown. But look, I'm always fine with overpaying if you have the assets.
I think he could probably move one of those receivers, either McLaurin, Juju, for 24 first, and feel a little better about backfilling his team. But listen, this is one of those moves where you save up for 2 years, and then you go make a big purchase. You buy a car that's outside of your capacity, you know what I mean? And this is your one big move. So you kind of just got to live with it, but I'm okay with it. We do this in Dynasty. We build teams, we save up assets, we build up our bankroll to make one of these. You have one of these moves a year. If it doesn't work out, if Jefferson goes out and gets hurt tomorrow, don't scramble and try to sell him at half price to try to contend. You just live with it.
Yep.
Didn't work out, but you have one of these big moves when you build up picks and you build up assets. So I'm good with it.
Okay, another inbox trade here. We don't have any format to go off of here, but Deshaun Watson for 2 23 firsts, likely, and Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Watson side. Come on.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is super flex, so yes, please.
Yeah, so Eli, if you're the one who would be giving Watson, don't do it. We are on the get Watson on this trade here. Guys, let's talk about that real quick. What would you pay right now for Deshaun Watson if it's just picks in a vacuum? 12 team, super flex, start 10. Are you going to give 2 early 23 first for him? No problem right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair price. You got to pay at least 2 first to get him, because I think people are starting to realize now, with like Dak getting hurt, Trey Lance going down, the disappointment from a lot of people on guys like Brady and Carr and Cousins and Stafford. Watson hasn't played, but I think he's looking more and more appealing every week. You know, if he can come back and post top 10 numbers, I think the people with him are feeling more confident about their quarterback rooms. So I think it's at least 2 firsts. If you came to me with 3 23 firsts, I would consider selling. You know, it's really what can you get more than what if he's given away those 2 picks and Mixon, can he get more than Watson? Maybe not, but I think that's what it comes down to. It's a fair price.
You're nice and frozen there.
He's freaking me out, bro.
It's like a horror movie face on there. There we go. Super duper flex. T-Law and a late 23 first and second, or Justin Herbert?
Herbert.
Yes, sir.
Herbert.
Big time.
Herbert. Yeah, Herbert. Well, that's taking advantage of some broken ribs and T-Law playing a little better than we thought. But yeah, wow, Justin Herbert, bro.
Is this a Bill McCarthy super duper flex?
Yes, that's Bill. And I got to check my leagues. Is this an offer? Oh, I got a trade offer.
Is it that?
Did.
No, but I'm pretty sure I have.
Well, create a little bubble or post it in a comment, and then we can throw it up on the up on the screen.
I already don't like it. No, that's getting rejected.
He's just declining it. That doesn't count.
So it's a decline. By the way, we have 180 people here in the audience. If you wouldn't mind, if you're enjoying the content or enjoy this channel as a whole, can you just make sure you hit that little like button at the bottom of the screen? We'd appreciate it. That's the easiest way to help us out. I forget who gave me the tip. It was like, instead of the like police thing, find a different way of saying that.
Making it fun. Hey,
yeah,
if we get 700 likes, we'll give a free roster review out.
Yeah, we'll figure out a free roster review thing, and we're gonna have to. I'll explain how to get them. We always get that question. How do I get a roster review? Okay, here's one. How much to add to go from Higgins to Chase? Have a hard time justifying the perceived value gap. Higgins has produced as well as, if not better than Chase, going back to mid last season. There's Scott Frozen again with another hilarious face.
That's a frightening face.
I personally wouldn't even bother going from Higgins to Chase right now, unless the Chase owner is kind of on the same page here, realizing that there's just not a massive gap between them. What do you think? A couple seconds?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'll give you multiple seconds. Scott's freaking me out. I'll give you multiple seconds, but I don't want to pay what the community cost probably thinks. The community probably feels like it's at least a first difference. And quite frankly, I don't want to pay that.
You wouldn't pay a 24 first and T. Higgins for Jamar Chase?
How about a 25 first? I'll do a 25 first. My favorite pick, my favorite class.
Scott, what do you think? What do you think about going from Higgins to Chase? I don't know if you could hear me. I was saying I don't know if I'd even, bother. But what would you pay? Would you do a 24 first and Higgins to get up to Chase?
I think I would if it's 24 first, but I don't necessarily look at these guys as like, this is not where I want to spend my extra capital because I'm already in a range where they're locked into my lineup no matter what.
Good point.
So this is one of those things where Shane and I sometimes disagree, because if they're within like locked in starter threshold, I have no interest in upgrading my receivers. If I have Jalen Waddle, I have no interest going to Justin Jefferson for the price that the market is going to say it costs. Where you want to jump up is when you're going wide receiver 30 to wide receiver 10, but to go to 10 to 4, I have no interest in paying extra picks. In fact, I'd almost go the other way, but at the same time, you send out a Chase for Higgins and a first and a second. I don't know if that gets accepted in a lot of leagues.
So I'm mostly only willing to do this when like I'm asset rich. You know what I mean? When I'm just like asset drunk. And I can make reckless moves. You know what I mean? Like it might not be the best process trade, but I'm like, you know what? Winning by 6 points a week isn't enough. I want to win by 10 points a week.
Well, and Chase and Jefferson have come back to the pack a little bit. I mean, neither of them have really trended to be anything close to what their peaks have been. Now, I don't think you can ignore what they did at their ages to say they can't easily get back there, but there's other guys that are closer. So I don't think this is even a move where you can get done. Like if anything, you can add less to Waddle, Higgins, those types to go up to these guys. But are you really motivated to do that if you're starting to have to throw firsts in there? I don't know.
No, that's the thing, because I'll already be looking at it. Well, that first, and look, this is where I get all starry-eyed, is the first-round rookie picks. That could be anything. That mystery box could be another Jamar Chase.
It could be. Okay. Blitzing Buzzard. Inbox offer. Rebuilding in a 12-team super flex. Start 11 best ball. Give McLaurin. Get James Cook and a mid-23 second.
So it's best ball. So I'm okay with the process here because it's best ball. James Cook is the type of running back. If you think about best ball, you don't want to maybe take the same strategy that we do at running back. You do not want to roster 12 backup running backs that are scoring less than 5 points a game. They're not firing in your lineup.
Clogging roster, right?
Yeah, right. It's the opposite in a best ball league versus a lineup league. A lineup league, I could care less what my bench looks like. I'm either starting them or I'm not. Best ball, like I actually would rather have a guy like James Cook or like the running backs I know are getting the not a ton of touches, but they're getting touches every week. And I think James Cook becomes that by the end of the year, where he's getting 7 to 10 touches a game. He's much more usable in best ball, whereas like Terry McLaurin, he can be replaced by the Mac Hollins of the world if you have enough of them. So it's the opposite in best ball. So best ball, I'd take this trade. I'd take the 2 pieces.
Yep. I agree.
I got an inbox trade.
You've got an inbox trade?
Does it involve James Cook?
No, it does not.
What is it?
It's Eric hit me up with an offer because Eric pays attention and does what's the word I'm looking for? He follows directions well. But let's see, it's a Devy trade. So I would give up Jordan Addison, the potential wide receiver one of next year's class. No,
The wide receiver one right now.
Yeah. Let me
take.
rephrase that. He is the wide receiver one of next year's class. DJ Moore, an excellent wide receiver 3. Deontay Johnson, and I would get back Anthony Richardson, Antonio Gibson, Treylon Burks, KJ Osborne, and a 23 third. Again, it's a Debbie draft.
Man, this is tough because this is like two brothers that I'm trying to decide which one I want to rule for.
And,
you know?
and I'm just going to say right now, whatever you two say, if there's a consensus, I'll accept.
Listen, I think the problem is Anthony Richardson is not going to be in the draft next year, so I'm fine waiting on him. Sorry, Eric, but I mean, I'm not betting on Devi quarterbacks. I'll wait till they get to the league and then I'll invest in them. Because there's too much risk with a guy like Richardson. And I think you're giving up 3 of the top 4 pieces. So I will politely decline that trade. And, maybe you work out another deal. But yeah, you're giving up 3 of the top 4 pieces.
Yeah, what he said. I wasn't really paying much attention. Devi, I don't speak Devi. All right, let's see here.
He also has CJ Stroud on his roster. We'll just say that out there. And I know
now that's a different tier. If you could sub CJ Stroud in there, Antonio Gibson's just kind of a throw in. But you put CJ Stroud in there, I think I take your side.
All right.
Yep. Should I take a late 23 first for Khalil Herbert?
Yes, please do it. Oh my gosh.
Any first. First.
I would take a late 2021 first for Khalil Herbert. So yes, do that.
A late 2021 first. That would be what? Rondale Moore or Terrace Marshall?
No, Terrace Marshall 2nd round. We were all very excited about that.
Depends on where he went, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Would you trade Saquon for 223 first?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just hammering through a couple of these right here. Shane, how do you really feel about Gabe Davis?
Look, I don't take any joy in the fact that Gabe Davis, the Gabe Davis truthers, and I even admitted I took the L after week 1, incredibly quiet. He missed a game, but in game 2 he played, right? I can't tell because his stats didn't look like it. But this is kind of what he is. He's a wide receiver 3, and there's nothing wrong with that. Look, if you got him in the 4th round of your rookie drafts and you wanted to ride it out, I'm all for it. I get it. Like my mind immediately goes to, well, anytime I bought an asset really cheap, I need to flip it. Right. And sometimes that burns me. It doesn't always work. I sold James Robinson incredibly cheap everywhere I got him in leagues. And guess what? I to this day, I still feel bad about it because I'm like, I can't believe I traded that guy for several thirds. Like, what? You know what I mean? At the time, I was like, it's a profit. So now I'm a little more discerning with the profit I'm looking to make, but I understand the liking of him.
11% target share. I know he missed a game, but he's got 11% target share through the 2 games that he's played. And it's just, game 3 last week, the excuses, well, he had a banged up ankle, like at what point do we go, he's living on the fact that he plays with Josh Allen. You're banking on the efficiency of somebody else carrying him. I just don't want to invest in that. So
I'm not going to say that, that he only had a 14% or 12% target share entering the year or anything. And I kept telling people that, and they kept telling me I was stupid, but, whatever.
Well, you know what the thing is? He is one of the few receivers in the league that could post a sub 15% target share, but also a top 24 season. And it's almost like it has to be the perfect scenario for him to do it. But you can see both sides of the argument. I just don't want to bank on the latter. I'll bank on the target share, which we know is very predictive historically.
Yep. Matt, thank you very much for the super chat here. First time catching a live stream. Love the content. Thanks for joining, man. Glad you could join. Appreciate the tip there. All right. Theory question. Where do you value Lamar Jackson and Hurts? They're smashing. Has that made you adjust your QB rankings?
Yes, it has. They're basically 2 of the top 5 players. I would put Hurts QB5, Lamar Jackson like QB3 or QB4. Yeah, so maybe higher, honestly. But yeah, they're top 6 startup picks. I don't know what else to say.
Let me ask this. Are you comfortable now paying up for Hurts? I know there was a lot of concern. Hey, we don't know if he's gonna be a good NFL quarterback. Are you are you not worried about that anymore? Or like
I paid 3
there's
first
less
for
worry.
him, 223 first and a 24 first. I paid that last week to get Hurts. What is there to doubt other than the Eagles just don't like him, which is everything they've done, everything they've said, everything he's produced says the opposite.
Yep.
So, I mean, and do we see a way the Eagles don't make the playoffs this year with their schedule? Like, it would be really hard for him to fail. I'm comfortable now at the point paying up for him the 3 first level. If he signs a contract extension, why is he any different than Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? He's not.
He's right up there. Yep.
And here's the thing, the kid, look, I moved off of him last year. I realized there were my ways in the off season and got him back everywhere I could. Thankfully, there was a lot of leagues for me. And I had him top 8 coming into the season. If you have him in that tier with Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes, I don't think you're wrong. Lamar Jackson, I'll say I never lost faith in, and there's a lot of people that trashed him after last year. He was always in that top tier for me.
Sure.
And I'd say Hurts has definitely moved above Kyler, without a doubt. And the thing that, and not from a real football perspective, what you like about Jalen Hurts is last week, Washington said, you're not going to beat us on the ground. And he said, okay, well, then I'm going to complete, 65% of my passes for over 300 yards and run for 12 yards. I don't know that he could have done that. Like the kid last year, the kid just gets better at everything he does. And it's every year. And, a lot of people shit on me when I talked about his completion percentage jumped by about 7 to 10 points, percentage points from his rookie year to his second year. And they're like, yeah, it's still bad. I'm like, yeah, but you see the progression there. That's the point. Like, it's supposed to get better. Like, we trashed Josh Allen, except that his completion percentage kept getting better because that was the knock on him. So, yeah, I'm comfortable with paying what I need to for Hurts.
Yep. Inbox offer from Ian here. 12-team Superflex PPR start 10. Give Davis Mills, J.K. Dobbins, Michael Gallup. Get Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, and a 24 fourth.
My goodness, yes. Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Me and Scott just talked about this on a roster review. Davis Mills is starting to look like Davis Mills.
Yeah.
No, Davis Mills is one of the.
We thought they were.
Yeah, Davis Mills is one of the first or one of the worst 5 quarterbacks thus far this year. Now, could it get a little bit better? Yeah, but that's not what you're looking for if you're hoping that he locks in the potential starting job. So you have to acknowledge the fact that it isn't like the Tech. We could have probably forecasted the Texans probably were going to lose a lot, but 5-12 with a quarterback that didn't hurt you is different than 5-12 and okay, we had the 26th best quarterback in the league. That's ripe for them replacing him. They gave him his year. He's not getting a lot better. A lot of his efficiency numbers are worse than they were last year, which is fine. Did we really expect that he was going to be a long-term, second contract starter? Probably not. And I love this deal right now. Zach Wilson is a player that over the next week or two has a chance to probably one of the biggest potential risers in value over the next couple weeks. If he comes out and just looks decent, like Carson Wentz decent, where people see that he's not going to be replaced after this year. There's still some fear that like the Jets are going to draft another quarterback. Like Zach Wilson's not good enough. He's going to get replaced after this year. But if he comes out and just looks like what Joe Flacco looked like, but his name's Zach Wilson, people will eat that up for fantasy. We're looking for another quarterback to stick in this like mid-tier quarterback 2 range. And does he not have the infrastructure that like any young quarterback would want? So I think he has a potential to rise big time.
Yeah, no, I agree. Would you spend just real quick? Would you spend a projected late 23 first right now on Zach Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? If you did it and you said, you know what, I believe in the fact that he has all these weapons, and there could be a story where I tell you in 3 weeks, if he goes out and they look really good, or he looks just competent and they put up points for the next 3 weeks, where people go, yeah, I'm bought in. Maybe not T-Law level, but definitely like Cousins, Carr, Stafford, Rodgers level range, value-wise. Like 2. If he goes out and puts up 2 good games, would you rather have him or Tua?
I'd rather have Zach Wilson.
I think people will buy Zach Wilson like that. over some of those guys. So I just think he has a chance to gain a lot of value. So acquiring him right now, it's not horrible.
I'll tell you what, though, if I was going to give up a first for Zach Wilson, I'll just add a little bit extra and go get T-Law because I'm feeling a little more comfortable with what I've seen. Yeah, I've actually seen it from him this year and what good coaching can do for a team.
But how much more, though? If someone will give you Zach Wilson, a 24, a 23, and Zach Wilson for T-Law in 2 seconds.
I'm getting 2 firsts. What is this?
2 firsts.
Spread out
Zach
over
Wilson
2 years.
For T-Law in 2 seconds.
Spread out over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would hold on the T-Law there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I mean, not to make this a T-Law discussion, right? But he was the greatest college quarterback in the history, college prospect quarterback ever. And honestly, I came off of him because of how bad last year was, maybe a little too hard, but it was hard not to because he was one of the worst quarterbacks we've seen in recent memory.
Because he showed nothing.
He showed he had one good game. Right.
Yeah.
And and it's funny because maybe I even underestimated how bad Urban Meyer was. Look, when your kicker is suing you for assault, I guess that maybe I should have taken that into account, that Urban Meyer truly was that awful.
Yeah. When people were getting off of T-Law like so quickly, let's not forget that he's been highly coveted since he was wearing freaking pull-ups.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's a reason people have been talking about him for a long time. Let's not give up on that profile. Okay, let's address this inbox offer for Tyler. 12-team Superflex, start 10, tanking and need points off the bench. AJD and Bateman for James Cook and a mid 23 first.
Well, shout out to Tyler Pello, fellow supporter of ours in multiple platforms. Oh, man, this feels like he's trying to justify doing this so that he can get those points off his team. And I don't know. What do you think about this one, Shane? You're the James Cook guy. How close is he to AJ Dillon to justify doing this?
Not enough. Not based off what he's done so far. You know what I mean? Like this is selling low on on Dillon. Because he's had 2 down weeks. I'd rather just hold on to him, let him have a spike week, and let it see what I can get. I love getting the first. You know what I mean? Like I'd straight up trade Bateman for a first. So then is it AJ Dillon? Is James Cook enough for AJ Dillon? Ask for a second back.
I'd rather add the second and only trade one of them and not take James Cook back for the other one. I'd rather do that if I want the points off my team. And try to sell them. I mean, how many times in the roster review, Shane, do we talk about if you're going to sell assets like this, sell them individually? Do not give a team a deal where they are fixing 2 or 3 holes with one trade. It looks like it's helping you, but it's actually hurting you if you are not doing your due diligence and shopping these players individually at the right times. And maybe that's the only thing. Like he might feel, nobody really wants Bateman right now. Nobody really wants AJ Dillon right now. Wait a week, wait 2 weeks. But I think you got to sell them individually. Like I'd give a second back in this deal instead of one of those other guys and accept it happily and just take James Cook. And if he doesn't want to give James Cook, then fine. But yeah, I think you got a counter. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me hide that one there if I can find it. Okay. So we're going into week 4. I wanted to, when I was creating the thumbnail for this live stream, first of all, I'm running out of thumbnail ideas, but I threw on there Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce. So a couple older guys who definitely still put up a lot of points. Let's say you're 0-3 right now. You thought you were going to be a little bit better, but it turns out that your team is kind of a, imposter and that you're thinking you should probably try to rebuild, and you have Cooper Kupp. But maybe you have a couple young pieces or whatever. If you look at your roster and you feel like you need to rebuild, talk to me about rebuilding.
I mean, we're in the DCHQ league where Dogtown and I's team is struggling a little bit. We're I think 1-4 because there's different records and there's double headers and whatnot. But we have Diggs. We've been trying to move off Diggs, and I mean, unfortunately, it's a league with a lot of followers of ours and patrons of ours, so. They're savvy on the trades of, we're not going to give you a 23 first and, Garrett Wilson for Diggs. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're not getting those type of deals. But that's a team where it makes sense for us to move Diggs. And it's to the point where, like, we haven't really gotten anything close to what we would ask for Diggs. And it makes me say, like, Do I really, you don't find many teams with Diggs or Cooper Kupp that are 0-3. They're hard to find, right? You just have one of those guys and you've just started them every week. Like it's hard to find a team that's bad that has those guys. But yeah, it's tough, man. Because I'm willing to hold those guys longer into the year and wait till people get more desperate versus just taking a random first for either one. That feels way too light to me.
Yep.
Yeah, the only thing about Cooper Kupp and Travis Kelce is they are at that stage where they're never going to increase value. Cooper Kupp just went out and had one of the greatest fantasy wide receiver seasons and NFL seasons in the history of football. And his ADP moved by like 3 or 4 spots up, which is, it's a good jump. It's just like it can't get higher because he's a 29-year-old wide receiver. Like it's just not going to get higher. It doesn't matter if he's going to produce at wide receiver 1 levels for the next 3 years. No one's going to pay for that.
So if you're a rebuilder or you think you want to rebuild, you want to take that route, and you've got a Cooper Kupp. I mean, it's tough to sell Cooper Kupp for a young wide receiver like Drake London, right? So how do you do it? What's a better way to do it? Should you try to find like a 25-year-old or so wide receiver and get like a second on top, just tear down a little bit, but get that extra piece? Is that probably a good way of approaching it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sweetheart deal would be, can you get Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and a first, like one of those? You
Sure.
can't, though, because everyone wants those guys. I do think you have to go into that range where maybe you're taking on the 24, 25-year-old, and you're not shooting for the 22-year-old rookies because that's what everybody is chasing.
So,
But
but like Deontay in a couple seconds.
Yep, I'm thinking maybe not
Or
even
a
Deontay.
24 first. Yeah.
I would go to a Chris Godwin, somebody like that, where if I can get the first plus that's enough of a process deal. Where I love paying or trading them for that price? No. But I also, like Shane said, that if I have one of those deals in my inbox, a random 23 first, even if it looks like it's going to be a playoff pick, and Chris Godwin for Cooper Kupp, am I ever getting a better offer than that? Probably not. And there's always risk as soon as he takes the field if he gets hurt. Cooper Kupp's actually scoring a point more per game this year so far than he did last year. Yet his value is like, when you want to go try to buy him, it's 2 firsts. When you're trying to sell him, it's, oh man, I'll barely give you a first. So it's amazing how different the market is. So I just think you take the best deal you can get within reason.
Well, here's also another option, right? So you look at your team, you should have an idea of how long this is going to take to rebuild this roster, right? No rebuild should take more than 2 years. If it's going to take more than 2 years, then just throw in the dispersal and start over. But if you can compete next year, there's no reason not to hold on to them. You know what I mean? Look, there are worse things, and this hurts me, than having a player expire on your roster. And one of those would be not getting enough value for them back.
Yep. Okay. Good stuff there. Let's move over to another trade here real quick from Patty. Dobbins and a 23 first or Swift.
The first and Swift. The first
Dobbins.
and Dobbins. I don't even care who the other person was.
Yeah, I mean, assuming this is super flex, which gives the pick a little bit more credence. Yeah, I like that. Then I like can I get a 24 first and another running back for Dobbins? Can I get a 24 first and I don't know, Michael Carter for Dobbins? Like that type of deal. Love it.
Yep. Okay, so this is an outbox trade. I asked for them too. So he sent this out, I guess, and it's sitting in somebody's inbox. So 10-team Superflex, should he pull it? 10-team Superflex, half PPR, start 9. Send Gibson, Treylon Burks, the 24 second, and get Saquon contending.
I'm pretty sure the guy getting this trade in his inbox is not going to bring it on to Trades in 5 and ask whether he should accept it. He's probably just declining with like a poop emoji, So yeah, this is Saquon all day. So this is not a great.
I get what he's trying to do. I mean, you're like, oh, look, here's a young wide receiver. I'm also giving you a running back. He plays the same position as the gentleman that I'm trying to get from you. Also, here's a pick, sir, ma'am, to help you along. If he accepts it or he or she accepts that, then good on you.
So let's say there's just a decline. What would you add on to this to get Saquon? I mean, Would you have to completely reformat the trade, or would you throw a 23-second on top of that too, if you had one? So giving up Gibby, Treylon Burks, a 23-second and a 24-second. Any problem giving that extra second?
I still don't think it gets it done.
Yeah.
If I'm the Saquon manager, I need a 23 first for him. Right now, he's the running back 1 in fantasy football. Points per game, I don't know who's overall. I'm assuming it's still him, but that's not a real thing. It's points per game is all that matters. I want at least a first back. I'm probably going to try to squeeze Burks and a first out of you because Burks hasn't done anything, Like, well, I'm taking all the risk on my side. I'm taking Burks. Gibson's useless, so I'm taking Burks in a couple random seconds. No, I need a 23 first, 24 first, and you got to give me Burks too.
Yep. Okay. So on the other hand, let's say you're trying to contend, right? So you're looking at your team. You're like, okay, I've got some assets. I want to buy some aging vets. Like, let's say I want to buy Travis Kelce, and you have what you think is going to be a mid 23 first and a super flex. If you're making a run for the championship, will you give up a mid 23 first for Travis Kelce?
Is this a premium?
Let's say it's a 1.5 tight end premium, small premium.
No. 23 first. Well, let me ask you this: who's my tight end right now?
You've got Pat Freiermuth.
No, fine.
You're good with Pat Freiermuth?
Good is a strong word, but I'll find another way to tier up to Travis Kelce. I got another player on my roster. I'm sure I can add to it. I'm sure I have a rookie wide receiver that I could trade instead.
Okay, so say, because I'm pretty sure Clay loaded a bunch of roster reviews for us today that had Irv Smith. So, like, you really don't have a tight end. So say Irv Smith is your tight end, Shane. Does that change your tune?
Okay. Yeah, changes your tune.
Because Irv Smith is useless.
Yeah, or last week, it seemed like every one of those guys, oh, man, I'm 0-2 in this league. And then you look they have Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney. No wonder.
Yeah.
Listen, this is one of those where it's like, okay, it's a fair price. You know what you're buying. You're buying a guy that's probably going to expire on your team. You just hope you get a shitload of tight end advantage points over the next year and a half or so. Comes down to what else can I get with that first. And if it's not better than Travis Kelce and it's not in the next couple weeks, I either hold it and wait or I take it because you're buying the positional advantage, or at least you hope is a pretty significant positional advantage. So yeah, go with it.
12-team Superflex gave Kyler Murray, got Tua, and 223 firsts.
I don't like it.
I hate tearing down at quarterback, right? Kyler's really scaring me right now. I want the Kyler side. This feels like selling low on Kyler.
Yeah. I would want. It's super sad, but I just wouldn't trade for Tua right now, or at least not from Kyler to Tua.
Yeah.
If for some reason you're cheating and Kyler's your quarterback 3, fine. But I got a feeling that's not the case.
Yep. Okay. Let's that one. I'm just gonna rip through a bunch here. Okay.
All right, go.
Well, here. So Chase Edmonds, what the hell do we do with him? Looking to trade him. What would you accept for draft capital or other asset? Are you getting rid of him for a projected mid 23 second?
Any second I would take, but this is the type of player that you collect if you can get him thrown into deals. Like, I want Chase Edmonds on teams.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to start him without saying, oh, he had a spike game on my bench and then next week I chase him. So it's a roster construction thing, but yeah, any second, easy.
Okay. So I don't have something to pop up here, but Khalil Herbert, would you sell him for a projected early 23 second right now?
Yes, gone. Can
I start him tomorrow and then do it?
I know, right? Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is, like, people are convinced.
What if you could use them? What if you think you can make the playoffs and you might be able to make a move, and so you'd like his points maybe?
Khalil Herbert should not be the difference between you and the playoffs. And if it is, then your team's a lot worse than you think, and you're bad at figuring things out.
I don't agree. Right, listen,
look at Deonta Foreman last year or whatever. You had people like that winning you.
If you're setting your lineup and he is a locked-in starter in your lineup and you don't have another I don't even want to say comparable because I think he's probably in most people's like top 15 this week, top 20 this week.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a comparable player like a Damian Harris or even a Michael Carter, someone like that
Jamal
to throw
Williams.
in, yeah. Well, I mean, Jamal Williams is kind of in the same boat as Khalil Herbert right now. Like
Yeah.
everyone wants him for the next week or two. If you don't have a guy where you go, all right, that guy's going to get 10 touches. Maybe he's not going to get 15, but he's going to get 10. Like the Dolphins running backs. Like if you have both Dolphins running backs on your bench, why wouldn't you sell the one that you could get an early second for and be able to start both the Dolphins running backs or one of them? You're going to get 9, 10, 11 points. I think that's how you play it. But if Khalil Herbert's buried on your bench and you go to set your lineup and you go, oh man, I can't decide between, Tony Pollard and Ramondre Stevenson and Khalil Herbert, and I can only pick one. That's when you go, which one does the market value? Which one can I sell higher than probably perceived market value? And I do it, and then I set my lineup because really the variance isn't that different. And I've now bagged an early second. Guess what? In 3 weeks, I might need to buy the next Khalil Herbert, and I feel more comfortable doing it. So I'm just shifting the assets to when I need them. So that's when I sell. But yeah, if he's buried on my bench and I haven't used him once and I'm not even planning on starting him, then yeah, you sell him.
Yeah, I'm still selling him. I don't give a shit. He's still a backup running back that needs David Montgomery to be injured to be of any use. And as soon as David Montgomery comes back, he's going to go back to his little hole on the bench, and you're going to wish that you traded him for a second. Process over players, Scott. Process.
Well, here's where we agree, though. If at all you're thinking Khalil Herbert is the starter for the Bears next year, get that out of your mind. He has so many hurdles he needs to jump to be a locked-in star. Like, he has so many hurdles he needs to jump to be David Montgomery next year. And what is David Montgomery? A dead zone running back to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're sitting there going, oh, I want to buy Khalil Herbert for, a late first or early second, because guess what? He's going to take over the backfield next year. Like, that's the wrong bet to make in October of 2022 when you're projecting for September of 2023. I think that's where we agree.
Mm-hmm.
Real Misfit Toys. Appreciate the super chat, man. Best way to sell Devontae Adams. 12-team Superflex start 9.
Best way is to go look at the teams that are at the top that want to add an additional hammer to their roster that have a weakness at their wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, and just hope that their thoughts of winning a title override their. Well, you know what? I shouldn't even say it like that, because I would buy Devontae Adams on a team that I think I could win a title with, or I think is a contender. So that's who I'm targeting first. And then another place to go, and you probably should actually start with this, is the middling teams, right? The ones that think they're good, or the ones that are sitting on that 5, 6, 7, 8 threshold, just to feel them out, right? Just to see what, if they're willing to pay up for a chance to make it to the playoffs, with the hope that they actually still don't make it to the playoffs. Their pick is even better, and then they hate everything about themselves.
And if it's on Sleeper, you update his team nickname and you just put a hammer emoji in there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, yeah, and I mean, like, if you're looking at other teams and you're trying to sell Devontae Adams to somebody who wants to contend, don't try to get like a big piece from them in return, that scores a lot of points. You see what I'm getting at? Like, you're going to have to try to get like picks or something like that. If you try to take somebody's starter, it's going to be hard to sell Devontae Adams.
You take Chris Olave over Devontae Adams right now?
I would say Chris Olave over Devontae Adams.
Start there. Like, the worst you can do is ask for Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave or Amon-Ra St. Brown and get declined. Then you go elsewhere. But, that's where I would start. Because honestly, your chances of winning or losing is really no different if you have those guys.
Inbox trade for Andy. 12-team, 1 QB, half PPR, start 9. Give Juju Romeo dubs, early 23 second. Get Elijah Moore and a 23 third.
I don't like it.
I'm not contending. I don't like it. Yep.
Oh, well, you guys are stupid. Give me all the Elijah Moore. I don't care about Juju. Romeo Dubs. Get out of here. Romeo Dubs is the guy ran I think the first time he saw over 70% route share was last week, or snap share. Dude, he's fine. He's fine as like hey, look at this 4th round pick that I hit. It's cute. Sometimes he's going to give me wide receiver 24 weeks. That's exciting. Juju is I'm willing to throw in the towel on Juju. He's a fine wide receiver 3. that needs a lot of volume to produce. Screw your second. You can keep that. I'm taking Elijah Moore, baby.
Yeah, I can see both sides, but I can also talk myself into being able to get a second, turn those players into more.
Well, that's okay. You can turn Juju, Dubs, and a second into a second, a second, and a second. Would you rather those 3 seconds, or would you rather Elijah Moore?
We
Just
said
looking
I'm
at it
not
from those terms.
contending. Yeah, I know.
Well, so here's the other thing. Like it's a 1 QB and it's a half PPR.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't think in a 1 QB half PPR I'm getting that much different with Elijah Moore. Like I get it. Shane wants to sell because he sees a limited window on Romeo Dubs and Juju. Like he's terrified of both of them. Like in 3 weeks, both of them could be basically worthless, and he doesn't think Elijah Moore can be worthless. If I'm rebuilding, this isn't how I want to sell though. I don't want to sell somebody 3 pieces for 1. I'm shopping every one of these pieces individually, even if I'm only getting a second for each one. Like that's the worst case scenario. I'm not giving a team 3 pieces for a guy that's not producing and it's not guaranteed as a cornerstone piece going forward for me. So
Look, sometimes Scott and Clay are going to be
we don't always agree.
I'm here to correct them. So yeah, take that. Get more.
Get more. Okay. Real Misfit Toys again traded Amari Cooper for Sky Moore and a 24 first. I like it.
Good trade. Yep,
yeah, not going to tear you apart there.
No, you got a first for Amari.
You got a first for Amari Cooper.
That's a dude you couldn't get a second for like 3 weeks ago. Nah,
yep,
you're good.
He's been
and
so
you got
hard to sell always. Yeah. So the fact that you could get Sky and a 24 first, good stuff there. Okay, Monty and a 23 third or Josh Jacobs.
Ooh.
This is
I think I'd go Jacobs because he's
playing.
He's been better than Montgomery too.
Yeah.
So
and he'll get banged up tomorrow. Leave the game for a hot second and then come back in.
You could also justify like whatever one I'm getting the damn third with, I just take. But I mean, yeah.
A third's not enough to make a difference that way. Like the fact that I can start Jacobs this week and I can't Monty. We were just talking about a start. Like I'm literally just swapping these guys. And guess what? If the same is true in 2 weeks, I'll try to make the trade in reverse.
This trade has the excitement of like eating ramen noodles that are like half cooked.
Yeah.
Like, this is about the least exciting trade you can make.
It's definitely like the chicken flavor. You're like, oh, I thought I had beef, but this is chicken.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Hey, by the way, we got 100. We have 200 people, 200 eyeballs. How many likes do we have, Shane? While he's looking, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, the old thumbs up. Shane, let's check these guys though while I pull up another.
We got 139.
We got 140, but we got to give a shout out to everyone because we hit 3,000 subs this week, and now we flew past it. Pretty awesome in less than a year. So shout out to everyone that's subbed, and shout out to everyone that watches these shows.
And Shane hit 10,000 followers on Twitter.
And Shane hit 10,000.
It took a nation of millions to get me pushed over.
We dragged him to the finish line last night. Please log on to all your burners and get your spouses and significant others to go and like Shane.
Yeah. Create fake Twitter accounts and whatnot. No, and also, so the reason why we're going big on Wednesday with Ray G is Thursday is when we started this here channel. We did our first episode on Miles Sanders. Look back at those videos. See how garbage those things were in terms of. It's like we were trying to talk in the dark or something like that. But yeah, so next Thursday is our anniversary. What's up, Shane?
We got a trade. Trade alert.
Trade alert. Okay.
Trade alert. All right. So Jordan Addison, Deontay Johnson, and DJ Moore for CJ Stroud, Antonio Gibson, Treylon Burks, Devin Duvernay, and a 2023 third.
I'd have to look at your roster, but I mean,
it's literally the same league we just talked about, bro.
I'd have to look at your roster. How bad do you need CJ Stroud? Because I think that's a legitimate offer. You can take one of those players, Burks and DJ Moore, Burks and Deontay Johnson, and kind of wash them out. You know what I mean? So
let's say this: my starting quarterbacks right now in the start 13 are Daniel Jones and Carson Wentz. I do have Caleb Williams in college right now. So right now, my starting quarterbacks are Carson Wentz and what's that other dude's name? Daniel Jones and CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is 24 class.
Yeah, but you basically have, after this, you probably have the QB1 and QB2 in Dynasty. I think a lot of people would take Caleb Williams over Bryce Young, just so I don't hate it. It's a very fair offer from Eric because it's essentially helping both teams, which is what a good trade should do. So I'd be okay with it.
Okay. All right. Let's run through. Let's do this one right here. 12-team Superflex PPR, start 11, middle of the pack team. Give T-Law and Drake London.
Nope.
Get Treylon Burks. Get your own 23 first back, 24 first, and an early to mid 23 second. I think it's the give side by a lot.
No, I'm
keeping T-Law and Drake London.
Yeah, we got to keep T-Law. We got to keep Drake London. Look, the guy, when you draft a rookie wide receiver at 101, 102, 103, whatever it is that it was, your hope is that he's going to be a top 12 wide receiver, right? Like that's what you're drafting for, unless it's N'Keal Harry. You're just hoping that'll be useful. But I mean, that's the hope, and that looks like it's coming to fruition with him already.
Yep. Okay, let's go to this one right here. 12-team Superflex, half PPR, start 9. Gave Javonte Williams, Chris Olave, and a 23 first late. Got Jamar Chase and Khalil Herbert.
Man, half PPR? I don't love it. I don't love it. I think he gave up too much.
But Chris Olave's running really hot right now. If you're going to trade him, now's the time to do it. Javonte Williams, we've talked about this before, right? He's the running back 3 or 4 or 5 in Dynasty almost by default. Doesn't look like he's going to be taking over so far this year. Jamar Chase is a little down. It is half PPR, but if this is what I have to pay to get Jamar Chase, I'm fine with it.
I think the one thing is it's a start 9, so you can always justify taking the lesser side of total pieces because you are consolidating. It's hard to consolidate, but
yep.
That's not a bad package to get out of Jamar Chase if you wanted to diversify your assets. So I like it.
Yep. Okay, let's go to this one here. Chevy, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate it. 10 teams, start 11, 2 QBs, full PPR. Gave Mixon, Rashad Bateman, a late 23 first, and got London. Did I overpay?
In a start 11, yeah, but I'm actually okay with it. I'm hoping you have lots of assets. The biggest thing that I'm hurting giving up is that 23 first. But look, Mixon's an aging running back. I don't know what Bateman is yet. I think, like I said before, he's kind of a big play dependent guy. So did you overpay? Probably, but I'm okay with it.
I mean, 10 times 11 is 110 divided by 12. So this is the equivalent of like a 12-team start 9. So if you just say I'm getting the best asset, the consolidation might lean me saying you didn't overpay. You paid square, but I don't know if you vastly overpaid. I think you kind of snuck in Mixon and a late 23 first, and both of those could be assets that are kind of on the outside looking in a start 9 next year. So I don't hate it. That's getting ahead of the curve. If you think London is wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 next year, you won this trade.
And we'll get into it more on Wednesday with Ray, but didn't you say prior that you think in the 23 class that there's going to be a lot of like Kenny Pickett level QBs that are going to work their way into the early second? Are they going to creep into there? Because this is a 2 QB and it's that late 23 first. Like, would there be a QB that could be valuable in this trade right here?
So there's a lot of quarterback options in this class. It's a deep quarterback class, but I don't know if that's going to be deep from a dynasty perspective, meaning like I could see the NFL drafting a lot of quarterbacks next year because there is a lot of good profile quarterbacks, but if they're late second, early third, mid third round picks, that doesn't really count for dynasty, if that makes sense. So I don't know if we see more than 4 or 5 max quarterbacks go in the first round. So to answer your question, yes, but if we have a bunch of Sam Howells and Desmond Ritters, like, do you really want to draft those guys? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm okay with it. But it's a good question. We'll definitely talk about that because Ray has some thoughts on the quarterback class and his take on it.
So I think we missed this one.
Well, you put it up there, so let's roll with it.
Mr. Wonderful. And shout out to David Ross for pointing out to us that we missed it. Appreciate that, and I appreciate the community helping each other.
Yeah,
That's
thank
always
you.
nice to see.
For sure.
So we've got
yeah, you put it up.
Shane's like, wait, do I have to read it?
He's like, wait, what the? I did my part. Go ahead.
George Washington. That George Washington, he gave up
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson in a 23 first, mid to late. Get London. Already have Deshaun Watson, Kyle Pitts, Hall, Kenny Walker to third. Garrett Wilson, but he gave him up. JMO. And then 723 first. Yes. I like this. I'm fine
with it. It's a late first and a 1 QB, half PPR. You're getting the best asset. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Nice trade.
Yeah, thank you for that super chat. And sorry we almost missed it. Thank you, David, for pointing it out. Nicely done. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the comments. Shane's asking. Here's another one. Thank you, KB. Inbox trade. 12-team Superflex. Start 10. Give T-Law an early 23 first and early 23 second. Get Justin Herbert. Also, Clay, you trigger me by equating each viewer as having one eyeball.
That is true. You say we have 216 eyeballs, but that's really, well, not sure everybody has two, but most people do. So
statistically, 1 out of every 5,000 people is missing an eyeball. So statistically, you'd be true if you said 434 eyeballs watching us, right?
So it's like 433 and a half?
At least, yes.
Let's see here. 12 teams. So give T-Law an early 23 first, early 23 second, get Justin Herbert.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I think I'm still taking the Herbert side. So,
yeah.
But it's crazy though that's how far we've come in just a matter of 3 weeks that it's already like Herbert is attainable if you're willing to tack on an early first with T-Law. Good deal.
Yeah, it's wild how the Dynasty community reacts. Herbert goes from, untouchable and then his like ribs hurt a little bit and everybody's like, oh, is this a buy low? It's like, if somebody's selling low, yeah, but
let me ask you guys real quick on that topic though. We could do a whole show on this. Maybe we do a future show in the next week or two on this, but how has that changed your mindset of playing Dynasty, knowing how reactionary and week to week the game is? Like it feels like 95% of people that are playing the game are literally playing it, not like a redraft league because nobody pays square price for points when the guy's 29, 30, 31 years old. But the swings and even like the young insulated players is so extreme. How has that changed your mindset? Like, how are you behaving differently now than maybe you did 2 or 3 years ago, Shane?
I think I'm more pragmatic than most people anyway, right? Like I kind of take a step back. So I find it humorous when these wild variations and swings in value happen from week to week. Quite frankly, one of the things that I'm lucky being a content creator with too much stuff to do is that I can't go act on my worst urges and go, guys, this week I'm going to trade Jalen Hurts for Kyler Murray in a second. And then next week, guys, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go trade Kyler Murray for Jalen Hurts in a second. Like, because there's sometimes you get too cute with it, right? Like sometimes you are better served just sitting, and it's situation dependent, but sometimes you are better served just sitting back and going, okay, let me let this rectify itself over the next 5 weeks. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, if it's a Khalil Herbert situation, you sell immediately. But I think you do need to understand that you can take advantage of other people because everything is so reactionary, right? Yep. Now, I don't want to do that at the margins, to be quite honest with you, but like Jahan Dotson, what I noticed is that I've already traded a lot of these rookie wide receivers a lot quicker than I would have probably in the past because I went, all right, Jahan Dotson's already worth a first round equivalent. So, and I'll trade him for a player. I'll use him in a trade for T. Higgins. So I will say that I am a little more quick to pull the trigger on rookies because even the ones that are hitting it at a moderate level, there's no guarantee that they're going to continue to hit at that rate now. And I'm not talking Drake London level. I'm talking Jahan Dotson. I scored a touchdown on 50% of my targets type level.
Yep. And it's only if you offer Clay, if I offer you a trade, can you read it on the stream? Yes. Send me an offer. Send me a good offer for Christ's sake. It always sends ridiculous offers. We'll see what comes.
Is that one of our listener leagues?
This is in Dynasty Pandemic League.
Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't invited to that league.
I just want to put this up there. David says that the swings make him feel cynical. People throw out previous week's takes out the window based on literally just what happened yesterday. And I mean, it's right, but that's the game, right? We have to play that way. We can't just be like it doesn't exist. So we got to shift.
We do. Taylor Made, thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate it. 10 team, start 2 QB, PPR, start 10, rebuilding. Gave Dak Prescott, Cam Akers, Michael Pittman, Elijah Moore, and a 24 second and third. Got Justin Herbert and Palmer. Still have 523 firsts and 2 seconds.
Start 2 QB.
I think I'm good taking Herbert here in 10 to 2 QB.
I don't care about Akers. Pittman and Moore, Prescott for Herbert.
I take Josh Palmer over Elijah Moore.
Yeah, right.
I just want to see Shane's face.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how brutal of a rebuild it is.
I can't
giving up that many pieces.
Yeah, but he's still got 523
Yeah.
first, right? So, and again, everything's in context. I can't say that I'm look, the one position you should overpay for is a quarterback, right? Justin Herbert at worst is QB4. He's an elite needle mover, whereas Dak Prescott is Kirk Cousins, which is, he's going to have his very good weeks. He's going to be a low-end QB1, so I'm fine with that.
Okay, I am as well. Thank you very much, Taylor May. Appreciate it. All right, let's hide that one. Kyle Sender says, "Heck, I have 4 eyes," so he's throwing off the count there.
Hey, Kyle, just so you know, the next time you see this show, I might have 6 because I'll have to wear my readers while I'm wearing my contacts.
All right, inbox trade from Sean. 12-team Superflex, start 10. T-Law and 23 firsts to get Hurts. Feels heavy. Thoughts?
One first or 2?
It's got to be 2.
Okay, 2, so Two, I'm okay declining. 1, I think you got to consider that.
So, wait, T-Law and so let's say he's giving T-Law and 223 first to get Hurts. You're not gonna do that. You would try to give T-Law and 1 first to get Hurts. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I think T-Law and 2 firsts is. I mean, listen, what did David just say? If Jalen Hurts goes out tomorrow and scores, the problem is he's probably not going to. He's going to continue to score 30 points per game. But if he has 20 points per game, like he's playing Trevor Lawrence tomorrow. Trevor Lawrence has a better game. Is it really going to toss 2 firsts added on to do it? Like, I would just wait another week. And if it keeps going south, then you may have to pay this price next week. But yeah, I wouldn't rush to do it today.
This is an unfair question of me. I'm an Eagles fan, so clearly I'm going to jump on the Hurts side. It's probably not a great idea. So listen to Scott and Clay here. I'm assuming you've got the assets to make this happen. Look, the difference in scoring could be like 10 points a game between those two.
Mm-hmm.
And there's weeks where it hurts. We've already seen it where it hurts. I have Hurts and Lamar, and honestly, it did not matter what the rest of my team did. You know what I mean? Like just those two dropping 90 points on someone is ridiculous. So I'm good with it.
Yep. So speaking of Hurts, would you pivot down from Josh Allen, Mahomes, or Justin Herbert to Jalen Hurts? Is 1 or 2 firsts and Hurts enough to pivot down? So let me ask you this. Would you rather have Jalen Hurts, an early 23 first and a late 23 first, or Josh Allen?
I did not accept. I don't understand all that. Read it again.
Would you rather have Jalen Hurts, an early 23 first and a late 23 first, or Josh Allen?
Hurts.
Yeah, if it's an early first and a late first, and I'm getting the Hurts Allen swap, yeah, I'll take it.
What if it's Hurts and two late 23 firsts, or mid to late?
I think the power is still their 223 firsts. So I mean, that's on you now to probably move them around and get other assets. But like, I would not argue with that process trade. Listen, Hurts is just a bet that he is a long-term starter. That's it. There's nothing else in his way from basically being on the same plane as those guys, and that's how fast things can change.
Yeah. Okay. And it's only I'm still waiting on your offer, by the way.
One that doesn't suck.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the death eye from my wife here in a little bit. What time is it? 10:22.
No, just tell her to go to bed. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'm like right next to the bed though.
That's what Shane used to tell his ex-wife.
Oh man, zing!
He would admit the same. So
Yeah,
I'll be up.
Fired. Shot fired. Okay. 12-team Superflex PPR gave Trubisky, James Conner, and CEH got Russ Wilson.
So 3 quarters for $1. Well done. And I don't even know if it's 3 quarters.
Yeah, no, that's a good deal, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
That'll do it. Okay. Let me go to let me do a couple from Twitter here. We're going rapid fire on these guys. All right.
Okay.
Twitter, 16-team, 1 QB PPR, start 9. Gave Cooper Kupp, got 223 first, and Darnell Mooney. 1 QB,
Pass.
start 9.
Pass.
You'd rather have Cooper Kupp.
I mean, this comes down to, is that the best deal you can get? If yes, then okay. But 16-team, 1 QB, if that's the 115 and the 113, you literally gave away Kupp for nothing. I'd rather target players instead of risk picks.
Yeah, and Darnell Mooney's not helping that offer at all.
Yep. Okay, 12-team PPR, start 8. It's 0-3 thus far. Give Jonathan Taylor, get Chris Olave, an early to mid 23 first, and a 23 second early to mid as well.
Funny, I just talked about this trade the other day. Like this is the team where if you truly are kind of blowing it up because you're 0-3, like are you going to get a better offer than this on Jonathan Taylor?
That's the problem. Like it feels like you should, but you're not gonna.
Yep.
Yeah, and I like how it's giving JT and not getting a RB in return. Instead, you're getting a young wide receiver. And a running back pick if you wanted to go that route. No, that's a good trade. Okay. 12-team Superflex tight end premium. Side A is Josh Allen. Side B is Deshaun Watson, a mid 23 first and a mid 23 second.
Deshaun Watson in the first. Deshaun Watson's in Josh Allen's tier. The only reason I don't want to get into it.
I would take the Josh Allen side right now until I'll make this trade in week 14.
Except that I won't want to make this deal with you in week 14.
And that's why if I can pay Deshaun Watson and all I have to give up is a mid to late 23 first on top, I'll take Josh Allen right now.
Yep. Wonder how you all feel about Najee in terms of picks. Appreciate the show. And thank you, Serrano Dave. He wrote a really nice tweet yesterday.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. How do we feel about Najee in terms of picks? I mean, are you giving a mid 23 first? Are you giving a mid 23 first for Najee right now?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. He's a dead zone running back. Let's just face it. He's basically Joe Mixon, but maybe he has a little more juice. But I think that's just what he is. That's not how I want to spend my first. And that's just isn't that crazy for us to wrap our heads around the fact that Najee Harris, I don't even want to buy him for a single first.
No, it's not. Because look, we said it last year. He's volume dependent. That volume takes a little bit of a ding. He was terrible outside of volume. Like he had like 100 receptions for like 4 yards. I mean, that math might not be exactly correct, but it was somewhere in that range. He was completely volume dependent, and he's seen his opportunity share. He's still top 6 in the league, but he's seen it drop by a full 8 percentage points. He's just not. I don't want to say he's not good, but he's not elite.
Yeah, he's tough to own. Like, there's no point like trying to move him because you can't get anything. Okay, let's see here. Let's go to. Thank you. In a super flex, give Kyler and 223 firsts for Pitts, Waddle, and Matt Ryan.
No.
It depends what quarterbacks I have. I don't know. If Matt Ryan's my QB3, or I'm sorry. If I have a decent QB3, if I have Kirk Cousins as my QB3, I would be okay doing this maybe.
This feels like an opportunity cost one, though. Like, shouldn't I be able to do a lot better? Not a lot better is a strong word, but shouldn't I be able to do better than Pitts, Waddle, and Matt Ryan? Like, I don't know. If I'm giving up Kyler in 223 first, I want Jonathan Taylor and Justin Jefferson and at least one of those two in the deal.
Yeah, I totally misread it. I am not giving the Kyler side.
Well, I mean, you're basically, if you count Kyler's worth 3 firsts and then 2 other firsts, you're basically giving away 5 firsts. Here's the thing. If you throw in another, like put Trevor Lawrence in this deal instead of Matt Ryan, I'd probably do it. But if I'm now trading for Matt Ryan and I'm probably wanting Matt Ryan in this trade so that I can play Matt Ryan, which isn't a great idea, then that nixes the deal right there. So yeah, do not do this.
Yep. Okay, let's just do a couple more here. Can you hide that one for me? Or we got it. Okay. Let's go to this. I know these are tough to answer sometimes, but who's a vet you'd be trying to acquire for a late 23 first? What about Deontay Johnson?
Yes.
Deontay Johnson, Devontae Adams, Saquon Barkley,
DJ Moore. I mean, he's such a young guy, but he's a vet. You wouldn't buy him for a late 23 first right now?
No.
Chris Godwin, I would pay a late 23 first for, which I think is doable. Deontay Johnson, I don't think is doable. I think he's still too expensive. But you're looking in that wide receiver 2 range, and you're buying what you hope to be some insulation. You're not trading for a 28-year-old receiver. I'm shooting for somebody that's 25. So Marquise Brown would be in the range of someone I would pay a late first for. I know Shane might say Elijah Moore, but like you're looking for like 25 and under, but it's not going to be a guy that's a clear top 12 receiver because you're not getting that. It's got to be in that wide receiver 2 range. So I think some of the names, Deontay, Chris Godwin, Marquise Brown, I'm okay with those.
Okay. I like it. All right. 12 team Superflex PPR start 10. We did this one.
Yep,
Okay.
still do that trade.
Still do that trade. Okay. We just talked about Godwin. Big Barosaurus, 12 team, 1 QB, half PPR, start 9. Give Godwin in a 23 first, get Devontae Adams in a 23 second. No thanks.
I mean, if you did it and you're like, I just need the points right now at Devontae Adams, the thing is, I'm not sure you're guaranteed.
PPR,
I'd
rather,
Yeah, I think I'd pass on this. I'd aim higher.
I love the avatar there. That lion looks all fired up.
I'm gonna throw one up there, Clay, because I think this is a guy we've never talked about.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that one too.
You're a Washington fan. What do you think about Sam Howell? Let you answer this one. Would you actually pay 2 seconds for Sam Howell, given what you know about his draft capital and Rivera and all that? I mean, I can see it, but it also feels like he's got a really small window where he's going to get a chance, you know?
Exactly. It's bad process, as you would say, to take Howell over that. So I would take the picks.
If Wentz were to get hurt, is he even the guaranteed starter like tomorrow, or would they play Heineke first?
I think they would play Heineke first. Don't you think so?
Right now, I think they potentially would play Heineke. If it's week 15, maybe they put Howell in there. But I think if Howell were to come in tomorrow, I think people would sell for this. You know what I mean?
I mean, he looked good in the preseason.
He did.
I mean, he's got some talent, but just process wise, I'm definitely taking 2 seconds.
I would send those seconds for Malik Willis before I would buy Howell.
Absolutely.
If you're trading 2 seconds for Sam Howell, you have a gambling problem and you need to call 1-800-ADDICTION. That's terrible.
And he has a Raiders avatar, so we don't know. We don't know where he's at, but yeah, don't do this trade.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's do one last one here. And sorry for David Ross, who helped us out by catching that super chat.
Yep.
12 team Superflex, full PPR, start 10, trade from a league I'm in. Dalvin Cook for Ramondre, a 24 first, and AJ Dillon.
Ramondre side by a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ever getting anything more for Dalvin Cook? If this is in your inbox, go hit it right now.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, it looks like he might have witnessed this in one of his leagues.
But yeah, like it was a crime.
Trade from a league. I witnessed this.
You do need to report this one to the police. This was theft.
Yep. All right, guys, we got to call this. One day we'll powwow and decide how long we can go. We could go for 4 freaking hours easily.
Look, I mean, I'm not going to say
225 people.
I'm more dedicated or that, I don't have a spouse. Well, it's one of the two, but I could keep going.
I don't even have my ring on. We can keep going.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, no, thanks for everybody joining tonight. And definitely join us next Wednesday night with Ray G on board doing the 23 mock draft. That's gonna be great. So I'm not gonna, you guys have to study up, or Shane, you have to study up. I'm not gonna be doing the actual mock. I'll be working I'm gonna be working the stuff in the background with like sleeper and whatnot. I'll have to figure out how to do it. You guys talk. Four is a crowd. Scott, you want to say anything?
No, I mean, this was I think this was our best attended live stream, the middle of the season. I mean, we got a lot of questions with trades, but also a lot of strategy questions. There was a couple others in here. I'm sorry we didn't get to them. We got a question about league rules and tanking, and I think it could be an episode that we do that's not just us from like a commissioner perspective, but it comes up a lot in our roster reviews too about I'm trying to tank. I want to do it without pissing off the league, but there are strategies of how to tank better. And I think it's an episode that we can do standalone, maybe a quick 15-minute episode just kind of talking about some of those basic strategies. But I think that was cool. And then we got a lot of trade questions we just can't get to. So sorry we couldn't get to them all. But man, when we're getting 500 trade questions in an hour and a half period, it's hard to get to them all. So apologize for that. We'll get them next week.
For sure. Shane?
Yeah, and look, we still hit up the comments too. So if you drop some in there, if you want to save, if you can't save it till next week, if it's an inbox trade, like Clay always says, just put it on there so we know and we can respond to you from the comments. And appreciate everybody watching. Really, 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 really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Hitting 3K was pretty awesome, and we are going to be doing. Hopefully, you enjoyed the wide receiver hits show that we just dropped. Getting a lot of good feedback from that one. I thought that was a good show. We're gonna do a misses or a two TBDs when it comes to Jameson Williams and stuff. So that will be hitting your inbox soon. We'll record that Monday and hopefully get it to you next Thursday or Friday. All right, guys, take it easy.
Good stuff.
See you next time.
Chill, everybody.